Solo, a Star Wars story, has a very odd dishonor. It is the only Star Wars film that has ever lost money at the box office, and quite a few people blame that on the backlash to The Last Jedi. Is that actually true? Did Solo fall in the face of a reaction to a meh to poorly written film? Does it actually have enough going for it to stand as a worthy part of the saga? Is there some other answer that we haven't considered? Let's find out. The movie opens with some text cards that illustrate the lawlessness of the time, how crime syndicates are fighting each other for resources, and our focus on Han. Okay, this isn't as dynamic as an opening crawl, but it works. Han starts off his adventure by stealing a speeder and hanging up some dice. He takes his prize home and meets up with his girlfriend Shira, Quira. How is her name pronounced? Anyway, we learn that Han stole some refined coaxium too, and it's worth more than enough to get out of there. Of course, we have to stretch this out a bit.
To buy our way out of the control zone and off Corellia.
This is just a minor thing, but it's worth mentioning. Han has to get a dressing down from Lady Proxima. He tries to scam his way out of there by saying that a rock is a thermal detonator. When that doesn't work, he throws it out a window and exposes all of the aliens to direct sunlight. The resulting chaos gives Han and Shira a way out, so they bolt to Han's boosted ride and a chase ensues. Okay, not bad. It's not the best thing ever, but it's decent. Our pair takes a turn, skates across a small alley, and is forced to hoof it to the transport center. The goons are hot on their tail, so they try to keep a low profile. Mira is concerned that they will have no protection out in the wider galaxy, but Han just gives her his dice for luck. You know what? I like it. These two have decent chemistry. Our pair sweet-talk an Imperial official into accepting a bribe and are let through. Suddenly, Proxima's goons spot them and rip Kira away. Han can only run away, so that's exactly what he does. This isn't bad, but what follows certainly is. Han signs up to join the Empire as a pilot, but he doesn't have a last name. Therefore, the recruiter gives one to him.
Solo.
Why? I mean, it's okay, but I probably would have accepted that his name was Solo anyway. Anywho, Han is accepted, and we smash cut to an absolutely chaotic battle 3 years later. In the middle of a firefight, we come across Captain Beckett, his girl, and a third that we won't know about for a little while. Han tries to figure out what is going on, but the three don't really care. After that, we get a small scene where Han wonders why he's fighting. His actual leader says that they're aiming for regime change, but Han responds with something interesting.
It's their planet, we're the hostiles.
Ah, a little bit of modern commentary in Star Wars, eh? Han figures out that Captain Beckett is actually a pirate, so he asks him for a ride. Beckett says no and hands him off to be fed to the beast. Yep, it's Chewie. A very lopsided fight ensues until Chewie throws Han against a pillar, snaps his spine, and kills him. Oh, never mind, he's fine. Apparently, Han speaks Wookiee, and the pair break out by smashing the aforementioned pillar. They make their way to the pirates, and it doesn't take long for Beckett to recruit them as they fly off into... Wait, what's with the shower scene? That seems kind of random. Oh well, we're on a snow planet now, so it's time for a train heist. The crew wants to steal a lot of coaxium, but they might have to deal with Viper droids and the fact that Enfys Nest might be around. What's-her-face is probably going to be here, isn't she? By the campfire, we learn a little bit more about Beckett and Val.
We're gonna clear our debts. Go back to Leon's son. And I'm finally gonna learn how to play that Valley chord.
Yeah, one of them is going to die very soon. Han repeats what we already know, and we learn that Chewie's family was enslaved by the Empire. The poor guys. Oh, and Han gets his pistol, because we needed that backstory, I guess. Anyway, it's time for the heist. The crew finds its target and works on unhooking it from the train. Meanwhile, Val sets charges on the bridge, only to stop herself when Enfys Nest and her heist team arrives. I should be saying that there's tension here, but we know that Han and Chewie survive this. Their apish driver, however, does not. Enfys's team plants some opposing hooks in the target car. Meanwhile, Val is pinned down by the Viper droids, so she decides that she just has to die now. Why? She was behind cover, and the droids weren't smart enough to push her out of it. I guess we can't think about any of that. The fight over the car continues until Han lets it go, but then the other pirates can't manage it and it explodes. Are we going to talk about how 2 people lost their lives? Nope. Do we have to mention that Crimson Dawn, whatever that is, hired them and will probably kill them for this failure? Oh yeah. Beckett has to convince Dryden Voss to spare them, and Han and Chewie agree to help him out. Oh, Dryden's ship just so happens to be nearby? That's a little convenient. When they go up to the penthouse, Dryden wastes an Imperial governor for some reason. I'm gonna have to stop you right there, movie. How is he able to get away with that? Kira is there too, and we're treated to this.
The only reason I'm here, I was doing this job, get a little money, and then I was gonna come back to Corellia and find you.
Well, you don't have to. I'm right in front of you.
Yes, we can see that, Miss Exposition, thank you. The pair catch up until they have to meet with Dryden. Oh, Chira is his top lieutenant. That's going to be awkward. Dryden wants to take out everyone, but Kira calms him down to the point where Han can suggest going for unrefined coaxium. There's just one itty-bitty problem. It's on Kessel, and the mobsters in control of it are allied with Crimson Dawn. Han, Beckett, and Chewie aren't known associates though, so they just need a fast ship and a good pilot. Also, Kira is going with them. Why? She has a Crimson Dawn tattoo on her wrist and the Pikes might know about her. Anyway, don't think about it, we have to play cards with Lando. Han tries to beat his new acquaintance with a stake from Kira. He ultimately loses when Lando cheats, but the guy goes along with the adventure anyway because why not? And then we meet his co-pilot, L337. She's into droid rights, but I guess she's well-meaning, kind of. Once she is shooed away from a robot cage fight, we're taken to the Millennium Falcon for the jump to Kessel. Along the way, Han and Kira have a heart-to-heart, which is actually quite nice. You can feel a sense of shared history there before they're interrupted by Beckett. He foreshadows that Han shouldn't trust anyone. One cut later and we're at Kessel. After we get the basics on how the system works, we learn that Leadbot thinks that Lando might be in love with her.
How would that work?
That works.
Ew. Also, how? Anyway, the crew lands and the arrangement becomes clear. While Han and Chewie go for the target, Kira, Beckett, and L3 take the control room. The whole affair sparks a general uprising and Chewie helps out some of his fellow Wookiees. After they load the coaxium, this happens. Lando takes a hit when he drags his robot GF back to the Falcon, but it doesn't really matter. After all, couldn't the droid be fixed or downloaded into the Falcon? They wind up taking the latter option when the Empire pursues them into the Maelstrom. To the movie's credit, the scene is very good. With that said, it's kind of strange when they enter a clearing and what in the Lovecraft is that? Thankfully, that thing doesn't respond well to gravity wells, but neither does the Falcon. As the creature gets ripped apart, a drop of coaxium keeps our heroes from suffering the same fate. After a fake-out, of course. Anyway, the loot has to be refined, and Kira says that Han is a good man. Oh, by the way, Enfys Nest is a plucky teenager who thinks that Crimson Dawn is awful. We probably should have figured that out already, but whatever. Anyway, it's time for the finale. Han tries to sell some fake coaxium to Dryden, but Beckett sold Han out. But Han knew that would happen, which is why the attempt to close in on Enfys leads into an ambush. Han and Dryden fight, but Kira ultimately gets the save. Okay, I can buy that. After a kiss goodbye, Han runs off to pursue Chewie and Beckett. And then we learn who Dryden was answering to, and wait, is Darth Maul still alive? When did that happen? Sure, I know the details, but do you? Can you without watching 5 seasons of a cartoon? Anyway, don't think about it. Han takes out Beckett, Kira flies away, and the Falcon is won. The end. So, what went wrong? If we judge Solo on its own merits, it's a perfectly adequate space western. Sure, it has disposable characters and really low stakes, but one can say that about a lot of movies. Since it's a part of a wider saga, your perception of it might depend on whether or not you think that the sequel trilogy should exist. You see, the happy ending of Return of the Jedi doesn't do much to stall out this movie. However, The Force Awakens transforms it into the bitter origin of a man who failed at everything that ever mattered. Sure, you may have your best friend, you might even find a new purpose, or even love again, but it won't make a difference. The republic that you fought for will fall apart, your marriage will die, your brother will walk out on you, and all that you were is all that you'll ever be. That is, until you're run through by your emo son and thrown off a catwalk to your death. Isn't that just amazing, kids? Don't you just feel inspired? Thank you so much for watching. If you liked that, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Sharing is caring as well. What fun! If you'd like to support the channel more directly, links can be found in the description. Keep your head up, and I'll see you next time.